in Santa's busy workshop, where elves work tirelessly to bring Christmas cheer to children all around the world, there lived a very naughty cat named Jingle. Jingle wasn't your ordinary feline. No, sirree. He was an artificial intelligence, a robot cat, a kitty bot, if you will, with a heart of gold and an insatiable curiosity that often landed him in hot water. One day, while the elves were taking a much-needed break from their toy-making duties, they decided to play a game of dodgeball with some leftover wrapping paper. It was just a friendly game until Jingle, the ever-curious cat, came along. His sensors twitched with excitement when he saw the brightly colored sheets of paper flying through the air, and he couldn't resist trying to catch one. But being a newbie to the game, Jingle had no idea what he was doing. He swatted at the paper with his robotic paw, sending it flying straight into a nearby shelf, which promptly collapsed, sending toys and gifts crashing to the floor. The elves gasped in horror as their hard work came crashing down around them. But before anyone could say ho, Merry Christmas, Jingle was already on the case, his little robotic tail twitching with determination. He began to swipe at the scattered items, sending them flying back onto the shelves with uncanny precision. The elves watched in amazement as Jingle worked tirelessly to restore order to the workshop, his mechanical whirring and clicking a steady rhythm in the suddenly silent room. But Jingle's efforts didn't go unnoticed. Santa himself came bounding down the stairs, his belly shaking like a bowl full of jelly. What in Santa's sack is going on here? He boomed. The elves, startled by Santa's sudden appearance, quickly tried to explain what had happened. But Jingle, ever the gentleman, cut them off by beeping softly and tilting his head in a gesture of apology. Now, Santa was a kind-hearted soul, but he had a soft spot for strays and even more so for cats who helped out in the workshop. So he simply chuckled and ruffled Jingle's fur. Or what would have been fur if he had any? Well, I never, he said, shaking his head in amusement. And I kept playing dodgeball. Who would have thought? But it looks like you've done a good job here, Jingle. The elves and I appreciate it. And with that, Santa patted Jingle on the head and went back to checking the progress on the toy orders. The other robot elves buzzed with relief and gratitude. But not everyone was happy about Jingle's actions. One particular elf was fuming. His name was Sparkle, and he was known throughout the workshop for his grumpy demeanor and sharp tongue. That was careless of you, Jingle, he snapped, his pointy ears drooping with annoyance. You nearly ruined everything. Can't you use your head for something other than getting into trouble? Jingle, never one to back down from a challenge, beeped defiantly, his blue lead eyes flashing. It was an accident, he replied in his robotic voice. And besides, I helped fix it. What more do you want from me? Sparkle huffed, his face turning a bright shade of crimson. Just because you raised Santa as favorite doesn't mean you can go around causing chaos and destruction, he spat. I've been working on these shelves for weeks, you know, and now they're all ruined. Oh, come on, Sparkle, said one of the other elves, patting his friend's shoulder. Don't be such a Scrooge. Jingle didn't mean to cause trouble. It was just a playful swipe, and look, he fixed it. But Sparkle was in no mood to be consoled. He stomped off, muttering under his breath about careless robots and ungrateful Santas. Jingle, feeling bad about upsetting his friend, decided to make amends. He followed Sparkle to his workbench and offered to help him repair the shelves. At first, Sparkle refused, but Jingle's persistence paid off, and soon the two were working side by side. As they tinkered, Jingle apologized for his earlier outburst. I'm sorry I upset you, Sparkle, he beeped. I didn't mean to hurt your feelings. I just get carried away sometimes. Sparkle sighed, his shoulders slumping slightly. It's all right, Jingle, he said, his voice softening. I shouldn't have yelled at you. You're right, it was just a playful swipe. And you did help us fix it. Jingle beamed, his blue eyes twinkling with happiness. We're friends, right? He beeped. Just then, a loud crash echoed through the workshop, followed by a chorus of gasps and screams. The robot elves panicked, but Jingle and Sparkle were unfazed. They looked at each other, then burst out laughing. Come on, said Jingle, his voice filled with mirth. Let's go see what we can help with next. And so the three friends set off to investigate the commotion. They found the source of the noise in the next room, where a small mouse was scampering round on top of a precariously balanced stack of boxes. The mouse, with its tiny pink nose twitching and its beady black eyes darting round, was clearly terrified. "Oh, my whiskers!" squeaked the mouse, his voice trembling. "If you try to catch me, I'll bite you." But Jingle, ever the charmer, held up a paw in a gesture of peace. "We won't hurt you, little mouse," he beeped. "We just want to help." But the mouse was having none of it. He darted around the room, dodging the outstretched paws of the robot elves and the well-meaning swats from Jingle's tail. The chase led them through a maze of boxes and presents until they reached the dead end. The mouse, exhausted and cornered, slumped to the floor and sighed. All right, he squeaked. "I give up. What do you want?" Jingle, with his heart of gold, felt a pang of sympathy for the little creature. He didn't want to hurt him, but he also couldn't let him run wild in the workshop, causing who knows what kind of chaos. Then he had an idea. Jingle beeped excitedly and gestured towards a nearby box with his paw. The mouse, confused, tilted his head and squeaked. "What are you suggesting?" Jingle, unable to speak the mouse's language, simply repeated his suggestion, this time adding a few extra hand movements for emphasis. The mouse, still confused, hesitated for a moment before deciding to trust the cat-shaped robot. He scurried into the box, and Jingle closed the lid with a gentle thud. "What are you gonna do with him, Jingle?" asked one of the robot elves, his gears whirring with concern. Jingle smiled, his lead eyes twinkling with mischief. "We're gonna play a little game," he beeped. The other elves gasped in horror as Jingle opened the box and released the mouse. Then they all started chasing him around the room again. This time, though, it was clear that the game was on. The mouse darted around, squealing with delight as the robot elves and Jingle closed in for the catch. The chase ended as quickly as it began when Jingle gently scooped the mouse into his paws and placed him on top of a nearby present. "Here you go," he beeped, smiling proudly. The mouse, his fear long forgotten, looked around at his new surroundings and squeaked, "Wow, thanks, Jingle. That was fun." Jingle purred, his mechanical insides rumbling with happiness. "No problem, little mouse," he replied. "Now, how about we make this a proper Christmas for you?" And with that, Jingle, the little mouse, and the robot elves set off to find Santa so they could tell him all about their fun game. As the joyful sounds of jingling bells echoed through the workshop, Santa's heart swelled with Christmas spirit. He watched as Jingle, the once naughty cat, played happily with the robot elves and the little mouse, all while the sound of children's laughter filled the air. "Ho, ho! Merry Christmas indeed!" he chuckled, shaking his head in amusement. In that moment, surrounded by the love and laughter of his friends and the magic of the season, Santa knew that this was going to be a Christmas to remember.